So, guys, my name is John Otache Emmanuel. So you can call me John, you can call me Otache, you can call me Emmanuel. All of those are my name. Surprisingly, I took after my dad's name. So his name is John, so my name is also John. And Emmanuel is my real name, and Otache is my other name. So you can call me anyone, but a lot of people call me Otache, so that is good. First, for background, I am a lawyer. I graduated from the Bello University a while ago. It's a while ago, and studied law. I went to my law school in Lagos. And yes, and for what I do now full time is I am a marketing and sales expert. I have clients who are mostly in Europe, America. I didn't think I have anyone in Africa yet, but I've been doing marketing and sales for coaches and consultants online for over 4 years now, actively. And yes, that's one of the things that I've committed myself more actively to doing for years now. And a bit of a background story of me: I am from Benue, but I grew up in Jos. And yes, I was someone who came from very humble background. My parents are all from Benue, but we were given birth to in Jos. And yes, life was very difficult for a lot of us. My mom was letting hair. My dad was really retired from the civil service, and so it means that he had to take a job as a gate man. So life was tough, very tough, and yes, we navigated through it. So a bit of a background about me too. I was given birth to as a stutterer, so I was a stammerer, and for years I couldn't really articulate how to my words. I was, very quiet and reserved to a point that most people thought that I was dumb. Like I was dumb, and I was probably mentally derailed and all of those things because I wasn't talking often, but I was a little bit smart in class. I wasn't the first, but I wasn't last, anyways. So I kind of navigated through life because I couldn't talk a lot because I was a stammerer, a stutterer, or whatever you call it. I was very shy. My self-esteem was of course in the gutter. My parents didn't have much, so it was quite a difficult life for me and my siblings because my mom was mostly the person who provided for the house at some points because my dad couldn't necessarily pay all the fees because he was a gate man at some point, so his pension was like 12K or less than that. And yeah, so it was a terrible life. And not terrible, it was it was good but not the best, anyways. And I went to secondary school. All my sisters, okay, I have five sisters and a younger brother, so seven of us. I grew up mostly with my sisters because they were all older than I am, and they took care of me, so I grew up amongst women. Difficult life and all of those things. Like I said, I went to school. Fast forward to, I went to Ahmadu Bello University. Like I said, just trying to cut out the secondary school stuff. And then there I found myself. Like God helped me. I'm a firm believer in God, just so you know. And I found God in EBU, and God started to walk me through a journey of self transformation. It was an incredible one with God because he taught me a lot of things that I know now, even how to talk. I used to think that I was a Moses because I was a stutterer and cannot communicate, so I probably needed an Aaron. But God didn't give up like He did with Moses. So He didn't give me an Aaron; He made me an Aaron. So I was a stutterer, and ABU. It was like a change. Something happened to me that I can't even explain. I met Jesus in Koinonia, Apostle Selman, and school was great because the old slang that he used to tell us that people from the rich home are not smart and people from a broke home are smart. So I was really very smart, even though I don't believe that broke people are necessarily smart and rich people are not. But I was very smart in ABU. Zaria graduated not the best, but my result was really good. Even though I didn't read that much because I didn't like reading at that particular point, but result was good. But it was hell studying in ABU because my parents were so broke, and I would get sent like 2 3K once every 2 months, and I would have to read my mates my friends' handouts when they were sleeping. All of those things kind of shaped who I am. And at some point, I kept on, I was blaming everybody, the country, Nigeria, our government. I was blaming everyone for my predicament, for my parents' predicament. I was also blaming my parents. I would listen to my mom always say that it was your dad that didn't take these chances. When we were just newly couples, my mom would say that he had opportunity to study more, get more education. And now some of his friends that got more education are probably in very high power status in the government. But he look at him, it's nowhere. And my mom will always say that, she was just lamenting because that wasn't the life she signed up for. And I understood with her, it wasn't easy to, carry some weight that the husband was supposed to carry. But my dad was a good man because he's now late. Sadly, is late, and all of those things, kind of made me tired. I hated poverty. I hated to be poor because I saw what poverty is. Not having to have money to cut your hair. Not having to have money to buy food in school. And all of those things. And then I jumped into the online thing. I started to beg for money online because I told myself I'm from a Christian background, so there was no way I was going to do fraud. I was very tempted. In fact, I was so tempted. I wanted to start. I started a bit, but like, no, I can't give my mother money gotten from scam. So I started to beg for money online. Begged for money, and people were gracious. I am a very good beggar. Like I can beg you to give me your school fees, and you wouldn't feel bad about that. That was how good it was. Like begging people was for me a full-time job at that particular time. So I kept on begging people every single time, like give me money, and I will beg white people because I don't beg people who are broke like me. So was watching American movies and all of that, and I found some friends online who I said, hey, can you mentor me? And a white person then a few years ago would be like, hey, you want me to mentor you? I'm like, yeah, but all I needed from them was money. I wasn't stealing from them, of course. I was legitimately telling them all the troubles we're going through in Nigeria and how our governments are very wicked and all of those things. And people will give me money. It was a good business. Like I'll get $200, $100. Life was becoming good until I met this lady online. She was 19 years old, and at that time, I think I was either 19 or 20 then. I can't remember, but maybe I was younger or not. But and I wanted to beg her for money. I started the whole story of how we had bad governments. I came from a poor background. I'm in school. I don't have food to eat. All those things are true, but it was true, but it was not the truth. You understand what I mean later. But it was true, but it was not the truth. So I was begging her, and she said, "Yeah, I'm going to give you $200." I'm like, "Whoa!" The exchange rate was, I mean, Nigeria was very good. Then the exchange rate was around, I think, 450 per dollar, and I was so happy. I was like, "Yeah, $200, and I'm going to ball. I'm going to have food and all those things." And she asked me a very important question: what level are you and what are you studying? I told her I was studying law and that I'm in my 200 level. She was like, what? How do you want to tell me that a 200 level law student is unable to get $200 per month? That is bizarre. And she was like, you know what? I am not going to give you this money. I was like, whoa. Why did I ever tell her that I was in school and I was in 200 level? I would have lied. But no, for me, that was the turnaround in my pursuit for wealth. And I understood that I had all the power in me to make wealth. And if I wasn't wealthy, or if I wasn't getting money, or if I wasn't productive per se, it was all my faults and not the faults of my parents or anybody. In fact, it wasn't even the fault of the president of Nigeria. They might be looting our money and doing all the things they want, but it's not their fault that I am broke, because people are still rich in this Nigeria where we call, broke and haggard, and yes, I picked up the challenge, and I thought to myself, why would I beg people money when I can actually turn these persuasion skills, negotiation skills, into actually helping people with stuff online? So I just told myself, you're gonna launch a business, you're gonna launch a marketing business. And then I didn't know nothing about marketing, and I went straight online and I posted on Facebook I will show you guys the post one of these days. That hey, I am open for for business. I am now helping people do marketing and sales. And I jumped on YouTube. Surprisingly, or good for me, if you had free Wi-Fi then, there was this immediate transformation. I began to see that I was becoming someone who could actually sell. I mean, my first gig online was a 150 dollars. Yeah, $150 was my first online gig. And guys, that was my. I think in 3 months I became a millionaire. And just for the record, I'm not going to sell anything to you because some of you might be expecting sales or anything, but I am just genuinely telling you about my story. And some of you might have heard this before, but it doesn't matter. I just want you to understand my background, that I came from struggle to this place. I am not where I am yet, but I'm in a good place and I'm going to be in better places. And that's why we started this mentorship. So, like I said, introductory session. You guys just got to listen to a bit of my story and where I came from. I told you guys that I became a millionaire 3 months after starting my business. It wasn't necessarily a business. It was just me taking up the challenge, and it might not necessarily happen for you like that. And we're not going to be talking a lot about money here. It's because it first started from the personal transformation. I didn't tell you guys about the books I read because that's going to come in the future. But all of this are actually fast forwarding my journey because I had mentors in inside of this that I didn't talk about. I had books that I've read, prayers, sessions with GLS Global Leadership Summit that I started to attend. Friends. I changed my friends. Not changed per se. I found new friends and I ditched the old ones, and we walked with the old ones who wanted to learn themselves. So yeah, my background story. So I'm going to talk about why this mentorship was very important for us to start and where the journey is going to lead towards. For me, I've had this burden to gather young people like myself who are looking to grow in themselves. I was so tired of having broke, less informed, less hungrier people around me. It was so devastating that everyone around me was broke. Like every young person around me was broke, either broke in drugs. That was my where I grew up. Drugs or was occultists. There was not necessarily nothing good coming out of people who were around me. And even those who were around me who were doing well, they were also a mediocre like I was at that particular time. And I told myself that no, this is not the best of my life, that I can become more. And if I can become more, then the people around me need to start that journey themselves. It's a holistic journey. We are all together in this journey. And God put it in my heart to start this so that I can help people and people can help me. I can be in a space of people that keep me accountable. Like a lot of people are done with school, like no job, you know, no job. Some of us are not even sure of where our future is gonna be. Like what's gonna happen to us in the next 5 years when you're done with school and now you need to face the real life. I was making a notes today about my expenses for the month, and I found out that my expenses is just over almost 300K, and I'm like, what? Just my basic needs for a month, it's no longer sustainable for the average man anymore, and that's why we cannot afford to be average people. Like there is no space in this world for average people. There's no place for being average. And if you want a good life, the life that you always envisioned and dreamed about, then it means that you need to step up your game. When I understood that my game needed to step up, I said, fine, I need friends, I need people around me that we can grow on this journey together. Because, I have friends whose salary is just like 100K, 50K. I'm like, whoa, how can you survive in this economy where this kind of money is being paid to you as salary? I mean, that's probably some of the face of the people and people around here. It's not a good life for most people. I've seen my parents struggle, and they didn't struggle because they were bad people. Most of them struggled because they were not informed. They were not in the right community. They didn't have the right friends. They weren't pushing themselves enough. They were good people, but being a good person doesn't necessarily take you from point A to point B. It is being an intentionally good person. Every day of your life, you do things that takes you one step to your dream, and that's being intentionally good. I used to think that, oh, my dad was a good person and all those things, so he should be rich. But no, good people are not necessarily rich. They are good in the sight of God, but in this earth, there are rules that guide, our existence here on earth. And it was God that put that law so that every man is bound by the same law that every other person is bound by. So the rain during the raining season, it falls on both the rich and the poor. What the rich does with the rain is that they plant and it grows and they get harvest. But the poor doesn't do anything. And you can be poor with money, poor mentally, because a lot of people are very poor mentally, they're poor physically, they're poor everything, and they wonder why life is not going the way they want it to be. So for me, this is going to be a holistic approach mentorship where we're going to be touching every area of life. Like we're going to be talking mental, spiritually. We're going to be talking about how you look, how you talk, how you think, AI. We're going to be talking about coaching, mentorship. Everything is going to be part of this mentorship. And to give you guys like a teaser, I have friends all over the world. And this is not me bragging because I mean, nobody gives you money for having friends all over the world if you don't know. But I have people who I've met by the virtue of personal development who have given me a thumbs up, who are going to come here. Some of them are millionaires in dollars. Some of them are coaches, mentors. Some of them are doing really well in the space that they are. One of the person that I invited that is going to come in to speak to all of us because I don't know everything. So I'm not going to be teaching you guys everything. Any day that I claim that I know everything, please just walk out of this mentorship. It's not for you. I don't know everything, and so because I want us to grow together, I'm gonna give you guys what I know, and then we're gonna add from other people who are doing so well in their space, and some of them from Germany, from Canada, from the US, from the UK. A lot of people I am going to be inviting and bringing them here. Very important. So, like I said, it's going to be a holistic mentorship. And I'm sure some of you are tired of where you are now with regards to life. You're tired of what life is giving you, the results, and then you cannot keep doing the same thing and expect the different results. Someone said insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same results. Like that's never gonna happen. Like never gonna happen. So we are going to change the trajectory of our lives. And I can guarantee you that all you need to do is just to be committed. I have discovered in my research and in my interviews with a lot of people that one of the reasons that most people fail or most people never get to fulfill their full potential is that most people never commit to something, one thing or a few things for a long period of time. They wake up today and say, it's crypto, let's go crypto. It's greener on the other side. And tomorrow crypto burns their hands and they wake up and say, yeah, it's gonna be Forex now. Forex, there's money in Forex. Let's go to Forex. And the next day they're coming and say, it's real estate, it's this, it's that. One thing you must learn is to find something and commit yourself in doing that for a longer period of time. The Bible will say that whatever your hand finds doing, do it with the whole of your might. Other people would say, yeah, I just want to do things that I'm passionate about. If you're broke and if what you're passionate about doesn't give you like good returns, then you don't have the permission to do what you're passionate about in the first instance. You can start with whatever your hand finds doing first, and then you can accelerate into passion, and then you can now find yourself in that place. Passion are good, gifts are good, but you have to use your hands and do what you are currently doing. Just do something. I have friends who they cut hair. I have friends who sew shoes and do a lot of things, and they have graduated from just cutting hair to owning a spray of barbing salons and a lot of things. So it's just about committing to something long enough for it to materialize. Like it's so important, and that's why this is a 6-month mentorship. We're going to schedule how often we meet. I'm going to make sure that it's not too much so we don't get what is called infobesity. Because one of the things that I've also learned with our generation is that we don't necessarily need too much more information because it's execution that is our problem. Some of you have read 1,000 books. if I told you guys read books. Some of you have watched very good movies. Some of you have sat in very good sermons or mentorship sessions. Some of you have listened to incredible podcasts. But the problem is not the information. The problem is the execution. The gap between success and failure is execution for most people. We are in a generation where information is readily available every single place. If you want to consume podcasts from now until you die, there's going to be a podcast on YouTube for free or somewhere for free or just for a little penny you're going to watch for the rest of your life. But it is not the information that you get that changes you. It is what you do with the information that you get that changes you. Because a lot of people have access to me. I've built a business. I'm not going to talk about figures here. So here's not all about money. I'm not going to mention how much I make, how much I don't make. So because that's not truly important. Because I discovered that telling people how much I make because I want to encourage them to do more doesn't do anything to them. It does nothing to them. So it doesn't. It's not about how much or how much I don't make. So the point is that if people are going to be executors, they're going to be executors. If they are not, they're going to give excuses. So you're probably where you are because you refuse to execute and you anchor more on excuses. You know for a fact that if you've picked up, let's say, web creation or web design, for example, in the last 1 year till date, you would have attained some level of expertise in that field, but you refuse to pick it up. Or if you've picked maybe makeup or selling or IT, data science, if you've agreed to pick that up from like last year till date, you would have made progress. But you just refuse. I mean, sometimes some of you sleep 10 a.m., 10 p.m., 9 p.m., 8 p.m., and you want your life to change. I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't sleep. I'm just saying that you've got to put in more. Like you cannot be putting in less and expect that life should give you more. So this is what this mentorship is going to be. It's going to be hard. It's going to be raw, and it's going to be aggressive. Nobody has the time to pamper you anymore. I'm sure that the least of us here is at least 20 years old, or maybe one might be a teenager, or two, three might be teenagers. But most of us here are already in our 20s. And if you see the way the trajectory of things are going, you know that if you do not wake up and take your dreams but by the horn, nothing is going to happen for you. Even God allow himself to be subjected to the laws that he makes. Like the Bible will say that let him that does not walk make no job. Like you can't eat. It's just the principle of work and reward. And some people work so smart, others work would rather wait until it's time for them to work so hard and where they are in a lot of miseries. I don't know if you're checking jobs applications and job openings. Some of them don't take anybody lower than 25, higher than 25 years anymore. So it means for most people, you have already expired for some jobs. And that's why you have to begin to take your life so seriously. Life is not about jobs and all of those things, but you need money to sustain you. And one of the things that personal development did for me was that it opened doors for me that the average person has been knocking on for years. Like job applications. I've gotten jobs invitations from people who work with the UN and say, hey, John or Otache or whatever they call me, can you come and help us work on this project as the project manager? I'm like, yeah, I want to, but I don't have the time. And they're like, yeah, you're not coming to join us because we don't pay you enough money. So I'm getting backyard like employment opportunities. I got someone the other day and say, hey, do you want to work on this project with us? I'm like, yeah, sure. All of these things is because that I started the journey of personal development. Like I said, guys, I am not yet there yet. I am currently on the journey myself. I want more for my life. There are bigger things that I want to get, but we need to keep ourselves accountable. You need a community of people that can remind you that, oh, you've not read a book in a while. You've not executed all those plans that you said you're going to work on. So we're going to do a lot of things like teaching you how to set goals, very important, like teaching you how to like set your visions, because visions are different from goals. Goals are just a microcosm of the vision. The vision is a larger picture. We're going to teach you how to save, like save your money, because some people don't have savings. I realized the importance of savings when I had been a millionaire twice, and I went to zero twice, and I understood how saving was so important. And since I started saving, I've seen my income triple. It's a mentality, something that happens to your brain. When I started to save small money, I kept telling myself, oh, if only you can increase your income, then you can save more. And I went aggressively to learn more. And then I kind of grew to a point where I learned how to save, I learned how to manage money, learned how to manage my time, which I'm still struggling to do that till date so I can improve. I learned how to hire a team so I can build businesses. I learned how to, connect with people genuinely. All of those skills are important to get you where you want to get. On the last notes, if you have to work for everything you need in life, you're probably going to die trying. And that's why you need to get the higher level of thinking. The higher level of thinking gives you an edge. It shifts you from contending with the masses and puts you in a class of your own. I remember how I watched the movie and I picked a trick from that movie because I know I do marketing and sales. I picked a particular trick from that movie, applied it in marketing and sales, and I made $500 for my flights back to Lagos when I was in law school. Because when I was in law school, I lost my dad and things were rough. I was broke, broke because I lost a lot of money. I'm going to tell you how I lost it and why you shouldn't do that yourself. I needed $500, and I was thinking to myself, that's why creative thinking is something you have to learn, and we're going to put it all in part of this mentorship. I learned creative thinking. I watched a movie called Suits. I picked one thing he said in the movie. I just told someone that I've been following up for years. Hey, I told the person, and immediately the person paid me $500. I booked my flight from Lagos that same night, and boom, I was out of Lagos. So this mentorship is going to do a lot of things to you. All I beg from you is commitment. I'm not going to accept come today, come tomorrow. If I have just two people, one person who is committed to running on this journey with me, and the people that I'll be bringing, see, I am okay. I'm not moved by crowd. I'm not moved by people who are naysayers. I'm not moved by people who will come in today and not coming tomorrow, give you excuses. I am moved by people who want to do the work, are tired of their circumstances, are hungry, and want to get to the next level. If you are satisfied with the way your life is and the way you're looking for hungry people who want the best for their lives, and people who know that mentorship and coaching is something that can get you farther. That's why the disciples of Jesus had an edge. Even till this time, we've probably never had people who were so dominant like people who grew up in Jesus' era or people who were his disciples. Mentorship took them further. People like Peter, they were just fishermen. Like in those days, fishermen or fishing was one of the poorest, professions. And Jesus Christ took the people who were downtrodden, casted, he took them and he made them into mighty men. That is what mentorship does for you. In 3.5 years, those people became people that the world will remember until the world folds up. This is the power of mentorship. You need to start listening to the right people. Someone said on Saturday that who you listen to determines how your life is going to be transformed. It's so important. And the world is already giving us so much bullshit. You go on Facebook, you can scroll through Facebook for an hour, and everything that comes to your newsfeed is going to be something negative, something sexual, something, it's not something encouraging. And you go to people's WhatsApp status, it's nothing really encouraging to take you to the next level. And that's why you must choose who you listen to. It's a choice. You must choose. And that's why this mentorship session with me and my folks it's very, very important. Like very important. You cannot afford to miss it. And if for any reason you miss it, we're gonna have these things on YouTube so you can follow through. One thing that I want you to do is to pick journaling, taking notes. See my book. I have a book beside me every time. Jot down your dreams, jot down your goals. We're going to analyze some of them. We're going to call some of you on video to talk about it. But write down things, journal things. Talk to yourself through books. Some of you have brilliant ideas that can skyrocket you to your next level. There's one person here, Samantha, so amazing lady. You can see that this lady is on a trajectory to getting better. I listened to another lady who is here. Her name is Chioma. When the first time I listened to her sing, I was like, damn, who is this lady? And I know Bosco, my friend, he does design and all of those things. So good. But Even me, I'm smart, I'm good, but being smart and being good is not enough. It's good, it's not enough. One day I go blue is not a prayer. But we all, Choma, Samantha, Bosco, Kingsley, Kingdom, all of us in this room will have to make commitment to ourselves and tell ourselves the truth that I know I'm smart. I know I've got this gift, but this gift itself, it's not enough. I need to put in more work. I need to read more. I need to learn how to be more present online. I need to journal more. I need to write down more songs. I need to do more for myself. The average man puts in very little percentage of effort and expects to blow up, and nothing. That's not gonna change. You can be as gifted as anybody, but if there's not like a vision, a plan, building relationship and all of those things, nothing is gonna work. So the last piece of things we're going to be touching out in this mentorship is how to build effective relationships that can transform your life. I remember the first mentor that I got was someone in Germany. My first mentor was a guy in Germany. I reached out to him genuinely and said, "Hey, I want you to be my mentor." And he was like, "Oh, okay." I was so shocked that he said yes. And our mentorship relationship grew from mentorship to brotherhood. And now it's incredible. Like it's incredible. I have a leave to go to Germany. I haven't left the country because I haven't heard God yet, but I have a leeway to go to Germany and some countries, and I have family there. People call me brother and all of those things, and I have built for myself a relationship outside of these shores. The laptop I'm talking to you about, somebody bought me a laptop. Someone paid my rent. I'm not saying you should beg people, but people look and say, "Hey, John, your laptop." Someone say, "Hey, John, send me your location. I want to buy you a camera." Someone says, "I want to buy you this because I love you, because you're my brother, because of all of these things." He loves me as a brother, just so you know, guys. And I've got ladies too who are married who say, "Hey," talk to their husbands and say, "Hey, meet John. He's amazing." So we're gonna be teaching ourselves how to build effective relationships. Because I don't know if you guys have checked, Nigeria thrives on relationship. Like it truly thrives on relationships. Who you know is more important than what you know, and that is a law. It's a direct law. It's a law of increase and law of success. Relationships are so crucial. Some of you are one relationship away to changing your lives, because sometimes effort is not enough, and I'm sure that some of you have put in effort, and some of you might even be feeling offended with the way I'm talking about some of these things, and you can tell yourself that I am putting a lot of effort. I see you, I know you put in effort, but sometimes I'm going to tell you here that effort is not enough. And some of you see your parents, they've put in a lot of effort. But the news comes up and none of them knows anybody that's in government, none of them knows anybody. And some people are just say, "I'm gonna keep my life, I'm gonna be alone. I'm a low-key person. I'm an introvert, so I don't talk too much." So we're gonna teach you how introverts can actually build effective relationships that can change their lives. Building relationship with people because of what they have and what they are. It's not a bad thing. That's what people. I wouldn't mention some things so we don't go outside of this, but I'm not saying we should be gold diggers and all of those things, but if you see good things, you'll be attracted to good things, and you're not just going to them for the money for relationship because you want to build genuine relationships. Relationships have changed my life. I remember when I lost my dad, it was my folks from Canada that paid for most of the funerals that I had to pay from my own pocket. I remember someone just said, "Hey, my dad is in the hospital. Hey, $500. Hey, burial." I didn't ask them. I said, "Hey, this is to support you. I'm gonna give you this." I'm like, "Whoa." So I've got people who care about me genuinely. Because man, your effort sometimes will not be enough to take you to the next level. And that's why we need to tell ourselves the truth that relationships are important. We're going to be teaching that here. For people like Choma who are music ministers, it's probably one invitation can change your life. One invitation. Of course, you want your life to be changed. You want good house, good cars, and you want to serve God and be comfortable. I mean, that's not why we're serving God, of course, but I mean, He wants us to prosper. The Bible tells us about that every single time. And so, one invitation for Samantha, the US Embassy can give you visa for 10 years. I know people who have visa for 10 years. So they can wake up in Nigeria today and sleep and wake up in London tomorrow because they have visas, 10 years visas. You know, relationship can give you that. And those are some of the things that I'm going to be doing here. And the people that I'm bringing, I'm not just bringing them for you to just talk to them and they teach you and go. I want to make sure that you two are connected with them. Like you connect with someone, and it's not about them being white, because being black is not a disadvantage, but it's about the opportunities that some people have. So I'm going to bring black people too from Nigeria, and I want you guys to genuinely connect with them. So it's going to be a transformatory journey. And like I said, guys, all I need from you is a commitment. A lot of people ask me, why aren't you charging for this? Because truly, guys, a sales call or working with a client for this hour, and I'll be paid a lot of money. I don't want to mention figures, but I would have chosen something else. But truly, it's because I genuinely want to see people around me grow, and I'm tired of having broke, uninformed people around me. I have just few people who are doing well around me. That has to stop, and that's why I'm here. So remember, I am not going to ask any of you for money. I'm not here for your money. I just want to see you grow. If tomorrow I see Samantha in the US talking about the girl child right in the US, or how to bring a machine to Nigeria that produces cheap sanitary parts for our teenagers, that's going to really get me excited. If I see Bosco doing designs for clients in the US, Canada, and every other country, that's going to get me excited. So we want to see how your skills, because you all have skills. We're going to be doing sessions where your skills, we're going to teach you how to, amplify your skills. Because sales, I don't have to do a lot. I work from home. I've been working from home, guys, for the last 4 years. Since I graduated university, I've never had to apply for any job. I've not worked in a physical place. In fact, maybe that's why I'm a bit chubby and a little bit lazy too. Because, I don't go out to 9 to 5. I mean, I'm not saying 9 to 5 is bad. If you have a 9 to 5 place, that's good. You're doing something incredible. And people are doing 9 to 5s and they're having like huge money. But for me, I haven't done 9 to 5 for a while now. And the reason why I was a bit jittery and the whole background was not lighted up a lot was because I was in a meeting with my clients 8 to 9, and I was to actually leave the meeting because I needed to come and talk to you guys. So you can see my lights not all good and all the stuff, but it's gonna be better the next meeting. I'm gonna make sure that I clear my calendar for you guys. So it's gonna be around 30 to 1 hour for all of our mentorship sessions. I'm gonna start with myself first. I'm gonna teach you guys some things that I knew about what I do, mindset and that, and then I'm gonna begin to bring in people gradually. But the last thing you're gonna do for me is that you have to invite someone into this mentorship. One of the things that I saw when I was growing, I mean, in this field of personal development, was that I left a lot of my friends and my siblings behind. I thought I was gonna go and help them and come back and throw the rope down and draw them up, but it was a big mistake. Because what actually happened with leaving them behind was that I had to drag me back. Because tell me, I've entered into a lot of business agreements with my families, my extended families, my friends that have cost me a lot of pain. I remember that I bought like 3 bikes for somebody to drive at that particular time. I spent over 1 million or so, and it didn't work out. I gave someone money and say, "Hey, take this 800K, start a business." Work out. I now understood that I was leaving people behind who I was supposed to be journeying together with them. At that point, I said my brother was too young. He's probably 18 years, 16 years old, so he doesn't need all of these things. But I was wrong. I was supposed to be traveling on this journey of personal transformation with my friends and my families, but I didn't do that. And now, when I understood that, I took my brother very fast, put him into what I was doing, and the next 3 months we had made 1 million together, and I gave him not all the money, of course, but we have a system that currently earns us money from Amazon. Amazon pays us, Facebook does pays us. You're going to learn all of those things. It's not all about money, of course, but you're going to learn all of those things to help yourself too. All of you here are worth my time, but guys, this has to be worth my time with at least 100 people sign up and with at least 20 to 50 people on our mentorship calls. I would have been doing something with this time, but I want you to bring your friends, to bring your siblings, very importantly, because how can you tell me that I'm the only millionaire in my family at some point? And so it means I have to cater for a lot of people, and that would mean that I was going to go broke twice in my life. That's not good enough for me. My dad, I watched him die in my arms, and I couldn't help because I didn't have a cloud at that time to take him from it was so heartbreaking. It broke my heart. There are things that I would have done in the past that would have helped, but I didn't do it because I didn't carry my friends. I didn't encourage them and say, "See, just come and see this mentorship." I didn't tell my sisters just come and see this mentorship. Now I am aggressive. Everybody around me must learn. It's not an option. If you have to be around me, I don't care if you're older or younger than me, you have to learn. I don't encourage mediocres. You can't lazy around with me. You have to pray, you have to learn. It's a compulsory thing. I give you books to read and you have to be accountable to me. And that's what you're gonna do. So all of us are committing to bring in at least two, three people to this mentorship and make sure that the group is filled with people who are committed. So thank you so much, guys. We're gonna open the WhatsApp group for just an hour. So if you need to ask any question, you can drop your question in the WhatsApp group. If you need to make maybe suggestions and say, "Sir, I want us to talk about this." Don't call me Sir, sorry, Otache or John. I want us to talk about this. Then you can put it in the WhatsApp sessions, and then we can talk about it. But after that, it's gonna be closed because we don't want to be seeing some spammy messages of saying, "Hey, you can make." No, it's gonna be closed, and it's gonna be a good environment for you to thrive. I have your emails. Please check your emails. I check my emails at least 1,000 times every day because that's where my money comes from. My messages from my clients comes from. So I'm going to tell you a bit about my work in the next session. But for now, I just wanted to introduce you guys and to give you a little bit of a pep talk to what I'm doing and what we intend to achieve in this mentorship. It's going to be, in summary, personal development, financial development, spiritual development, mental development, everything development. It's gonna be part of this. So, like I said, it's not about making money ASAP. It's about building yourself so you can sustain wealth. I'm gonna tell you some secrets about me, but it's not gonna be today. So, I'm gonna open the WhatsApp group now for an hour. So please, if you have any question, anything, you can put it in the chat. And I want questions and I want updates or anything. So, guys, thank you so much for showing up today. Shoma, I can't see everybody, but I think I can see Favor, Shoma, Bosco, Kingdom, Kinsley, Moses. Oh, Moses Shadrach. We should talk. Reach out to me. Olua, Fumilayor. I can see Samantha, David, who's part of the team. I can see Sharon and all of my good friends. Thank you so much, guys, for showing up. This is a commitment that you want to grow, and I'm ready to go on this journey with you. Thank you so much. I'm going to see you guys in the next session. It's going to be communicated in the group. And then after then, we're going to have a calendar that we can all follow through. So, guys, if you need anything outside of money from me, please send me a message. If you want to connect with me, and just send me a message on WhatsApp and I'll connect. Sometimes I do calls for free with people just to know where they are so I can help or recommend them to somebody that can help or anything. I want to be friends with you guys. So if you have any problem, please reach out to me. Thank you so much, guys. This is going to be the end of our meeting, and I'll see you guys soon. Cheers, guys. Bye.